welcome back to our monthly community call. We meet the first Wednesday of every month, except for next month. More to come on that. Next month falls over IT Nation Connect, so we're going to push it back a week. But traditionally, the first Wednesday of every month. Today, as mentioned, it is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, the start of it, all of October. We, as ImmyBot and other companies in the space, will be talking about cybersecurity, sharing the horror stories, the successes, the do's and the don'ts. So if you have anything that you want to share with the group, this is always a great open forum to discuss what you're doing, questions that you have. No dumb questions. Tara and I like to say we're the least technical people on the call. So we're asking questions, so you guys can too. Getting right along. Reminder on who our community team is. Tara made this new slide. It's so fun. I run community engagement, which means a lot of community calls and back-end stuff to help make sure our trade shows are successful. Tara is the face and the brains and the heart of the operation, and Immy is your automation best friend. Okay. Jason has opinions about headshots in the group chat, so everybody be aware of that. And I will pass it to Tara to talk about where we will be, although I will be at some of these, more of them than I usually am. So,
right. Sorry. I was telling Jason he's rude for not liking my headshot. All right. So where is Immy? So we are going to be at PAX 8 peer groups at the beginning of October. Really excited if any of you are going to be out there. It is in St. Louis. I've never been to St. Louis, so that's new. And then October 12th through 14th, I will be over at GTIA ChannelCon EMEA. Jason, you'll be there too, right?
I will be.
Staying for it. Nice. So I am actually, we have a booth, but I will also be on a panel there about diversity in tech. So I am repping the neurodiverse space and our leaders in that space. So October 15th and 16th, Network Group, they have their end of year event. Be over in Belfast in Northern Ireland for that. And the same day, Anna is going to be handling channel program for us. You want to say anything about that?
yeah, I think if you want to be engaged in that, the inbox is fixed. community@immy.bot. Let me know by the end of the week, and I can try to get you a seat there. Channel program kind of runs the guest list, so we have minimal leeway. But if nothing else, I'll be there all day Wednesday. And if your office is close by, I can at least stop in and say, hey, bring some stickers. So let me know if you're near Chicago or want to be included in that dinner on October 15th at community@immy.bot.
And it's not on here, but we will be also doing a dinner with them in San Diego in December. So let us know if you would be interested in that. We can just let them know early. November 5th through 7th, just like Anna said, we've got IT Nation Connect Global in Orlando. We see a lot of people out there. So if any of you are supporters of Immy and love us, hate us, want to give us some feedback, we are bringing a videographer with us. We're probably not going to film you hating us, but if you want to tell everyone how great you think we are or what you're using Immy for, or if you're using it in a weird way, please let us know. And Jonathan would be happy to just get a little snippet from you that week. And then we are moving the community call back because of IT Nation.
We got a full team at IT Nation. We'll have Brett and Darren and some people from our digital UX team, as well as Tara and myself. So lots of Immy people that make these community calls happen. We'll be on the road for that, and we know many of you will be there as well. So we'll see you there, and if not, we'll see you the week after. We'll do a little recap, and it'll be great.
Yeah, and we have a massive amount of swag because it is officially us announcing the new Immy that's behind me. So you'll get to see some of the old shirts, some of the new stuff, some pins. We're going kind of all out for this thing.
If you're at Connect, you've got to stop by the booth. Our swag has never been cooler. That's saying a lot because we have cool swag.
That is saying a lot because you do have cool swag.
Yeah, we do.
Newsflash. Windows 10's retiring. I don't know if anyone knows that. Raise your hand if you know that.
Keep your hand down if you know that. How's that?
No, put them up. Put them up.
The funny thing is Windows 10 isn't retiring, but if you log into a Windows 11 box and type ver, it still says version 10.x.x. So is it really retiring, or did they just put a new marketing name on the same thing?
Well, there's that.
That's the conspiracy theory. If you want to learn more about that, you can stay after with Jason to learn about Windows 10 conspiracy theories. If you just want to survive especially using ImmyBot, I just want to call out that the Windows 10 to Windows 11 is our documentation is live on the new doc site. And so you can use this to talk through best practices, tips, tricks, a walkthrough of different ways to deploy. Um, yeah. So make sure to check that out, send that to your team, have that as a resource. Part of well, the whole part of IMMY is that we help make things like this specifically, so much easier. So this is the perfect opportunity to be leveraging. If you have any friends that aren't on ImmyBot, you're not doing them a favor by not telling them about ImmyBot right now. There's like a lot of times to not sell other people's businesses. This is one time where like it's not even selling ImmyBot. This is like practical, help your teams. Tara just dropped the link to the documentation in the site. So please, please, please tell your friends, tell your techs. We have this guide up and ImmyBot can help shoulder some of this lift.
Yeah.
It's Cybersecurity Month and we have a couple of things going on. So one of those, I think Trey is on this call.
I saw him jump in, so
Trey
Make sure you force your face.
let's see a Trey. This is your nightmare for coming on the call. Trey is going to be hosting alongside Roost and ImmyBot a webinar at the end of the month, 2 p.m. Eastern, talking about ways that Trey uses the ImmyBot and Roost integrations to make sure that your MSPs are efficient and secure. Jason, I'm not going to steal his thunder, but some of the points that he makes today are directly what Trey's going to be talking about also at the end of the month, but more in depth on how you can actually do that with tools that might be in your stack. Roost again is just an RPA tool. So if you have any RPA tools that you're using, you can still come and learn about how ImmyBot can work with your RPA tool. So don't feel like you need to have both tools to be a part of that.
Not to put you on the spot, Trey, but you took yourself off mute and you put a picture up. I can see I saw your face. There you are. Hi. Do you want to say anything or hype it up?
You hazed me to get on here, so
I did. Sorry. Sorry. Pressure.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it'll be a good call into what both of you have already said. It's not necessarily going to be entirely Roost focused. They're running things a little bit, so you got to give them their plug, right? And same with Inny, they're getting their own plug, but it's going to be really just looking at consistency through automation to secure your environment and more importantly, secure your customers' environments. It's not flashy. It's not, the cool stuff that you're going to see in the community that gets your attention. It's really what can you do to act as a foundation that you might not think about, but can really secure your environment that some MSPs miss. Courser, just for some background, is a private equity backed company. We have 25 MSPs across the nation in the United States. And you'd be shocked how many skeletons in the closet we find where we aren't securing even the smallest things. Automation can help go catch that. So that's what I'll be talking about as a high overview. But I'll throw it back to, I don't know if it's Anna, Tara, whoever.
We have a hand raised. Did we have a question or was that from earlier?
And Jason raised his hand, but
sure Jason, it's on purpose. Stop it. You're obnoxious. Well, thanks for jumping on, Trey. Appreciate you.
No problem.
That was from earlier. I can lower my hand.
Thanks. All right. Yeah, so we're really excited about it. When Roost mentioned it to me and Trey and the calls that we've had on it, I think it's, like you said, it's not flashy. It's not, I can send you a sequin hat if you want to wear it on the call, Trey. But it's important and it talks a lot about covering yourselves and then delivering also what you're covering yourselves for to your clients. So it's pretty great.
And you sent the link to register, right?
I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The link to register is in the chat. Like Trey said, Roost is running the ship on that. So it all goes through their website. But using our link means that we get to keep working with Roost because they saw that we influenced traffic. So that would be cool if you use our link. Trey, you can even register using our link. That would be great.
I could make a Roost workflow that registers everyone here.
There you go.
I'll go through all my customers' requirements.
I love it. All
That's
right.
Next up, I think it's time for Jason Slagle. These are all of the reasons why you should listen to him. But Hacker of Printers is my favorite. I came to know Jason through a little bit of a turbulent way. He was hacking into printers at IT Nation to print our CEO's name badge. And, when you're working on an events team, you're about all over these people trying to make your lives harder. And Jason was successful more than once.
This is my favorite, where I printed Carol Ann's and her title was winner.
Yeah. That is my best friend whose whole life is to run the red desk at ConnectWise. And so by making her life horrible, he made my life horrible. But along with that, has done a lot of great work along with building an MSP that is very successful, secretary at CyberRise, SME for all cyber topics, chair at GTI, ISAO steering committee, Grumpy Beard, which I think was an after ad. I did not write that.
I did. I added it. He's our forever Grumpy Beard. But Jason, you can introduce yourself a little bit if you want. I would like for you to tell everyone a little about CyberRise. I don't know if everybody knows what it is, and I think it's really cool what y'all are doing.
I can do that. I'm Jason Slagle. I am president of CNWR Inc. We are an MSP in the Toledo, Ohio area. We're an MSP. Like, I presume almost everyone on this call is an MSP. I don't have to say what an MSP is. In addition to that, I hold a couple of roles. As you pointed out, I am the chair of the GTI ISO. That's how you say that, Anna. It's okay. I would have said we can argue GIF versus GIF later. It's called something different now because they seem to rename things a lot there. And additionally, I am the secretary of a charity called CyberRise. CyberRise was born out of the CompTIA back in the day, emergency response team, which was created by Robert Chaffee. And basically, we offer a free service to MSPs having a very bad day. And so essentially, if you go to msp911.org and you're having a bad time because you have some sort of incident impacting multiple clients, we'll provide some coaching. We will help you with things like scheduling and things like this is what you can expect, and maybe some scripting help, and generally trying to help in any way we can, to the point where we have deployed bodies where they've been needed in the past. We are starting to add some gates and guidelines around that because we're afraid of liability. And we just had a very telling case recently that showed us that we had a little bit of growing there. So that is one of the 3 CyberRise programs. CyberRise has 2 other programs, one of which is called the Hackening, which was born out of Matt Lee and I's How I Would Hack You talk, where we attempted to hack a number of MSPs. And we thought, what would be great? What if we took college students, gave them curriculum and a capstone project, and paired up teams of college students with MSPs, had the college students attempt to hack the MSPs, write a full pen test report, and then had pen testers grade them. We have enough people on board. Clemson is going to be our launch school, so we're working with them now to actually do that. And it will be pretty awesome because, you know what? MSPs get free and or cheap pen tests. College students get real world experience that's not in a lab. And we hold all the liability because we're dumb. And I think that's a win for everyone except probably eventually us. But we're gonna keep going with it. And then the last program is Matt Lee has his framework maps, where he spent a lot of time basically trying to map all the products in our space to what they actually can solve CIS controls wise. He lives, breathes, and eats CIS controls. He can name all of them off the top of his head because he's crazy. I can't do that, but I do know that we have a lot of vendors in our space that like to say they can solve all these controls, and in many cases they can. But Immy can solve all of them, literally all of them, every single one of them. But it doesn't do all of them out of the box, right? So it's very important to note the distinction between ability to do it as default configuration and how you can do it if you walk down the road. It can run PowerShell, and PowerShell can do pretty much all of it. It's not all of them, but like 85% of them. It can do almost all of them if you write the right PowerShell scripts, but that doesn't mean it solves all of them. It solves the couple it solves out of the box, and then you can make it do the rest. So we're trying to, as a third-party independent nonprofit organization, dispel the marketing nonsense that a lot of the vendors in our space, not IMMY isn't one of them, but a lot of the vendors in our space try to tell you by showing you, you know what, out of the box, it can do this. If you configure it correctly, it can do that. That's it. That's my little spiel.
Sweet.
That was quite a spiel. So we invited Jason on here for Cybersecurity Month, right? I think you can go to probably the next page. And last week we were just kind of brainstorming what to talk about. And a lot of it came down to really 3 points. I don't even know if Jason realizes these are the 3 points that we were going to talk about today. He's just looking at it. We're dropped a bit.
Yeah.
We're like, but the conversation we had was so good last week, right? And it all started with you can't maintain and you can't, protect anything if you don't know it's even friggin' exists, right?
Yep.
So I know that IMMY can do that, but what's some of the other things maybe you're doing to help with that as well?
Yeah, I always feel like when we have these pre-conversations that all the good points and discussion points get taken during the pre-conversation, and then I'm like, oh God, what are we going to talk about?
What are you thinking about?
There are so many instances where you see things that happen that you just didn't even have visibility into, right? There was a fairly high profile, and I'm going to say this generically without revealing anything. There was a fairly high profile, I'll call it incident in our space recently, somewhere in the vendor ecosystem, where the root cause of it was a development machine from a company that they purchased that the InfoSec team didn't even know existed, had some keys to an S3 bucket on it, and that S3 bucket contained data they could use to do other things. Right. So this team this vendor has a very good InfoSec team. They're very mature. They've got great things going on. But guess what? They can't secure a machine they don't know exists. Right. If you don't have visibility in your environment to what your assets are, and there are many, many, many asset classes, but we can start with the easy ones like hardware. If you don't know what's connected to your network, how do you ever propose that you're going to keep that secure, up to date? Right. Like, that's in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, right? So I would say from here, you obviously, everybody knows about patch management. Everybody knows about all of that. So you're using IMMY for your deployments mainly. Are you using it all for patching? Or are you still using it? Okay.
We use IMMY for third-party patching, for sure, right? Like, it is the best solution I have found out there to do that. Before that, we were using a Chocolatey plugin for manage or automate to do it. We've since moved off automate. But yeah, IMMY does great. I really like the fact that it uses a desired state config, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of basically having to write a PowerShell script that says update that thing, you can write a PowerShell script that says thou shall be updated. And when it runs and checks in, it just makes it so. That is, I'm a Puppet user, right? Like, literally, if we walk out into the lobby, there's copies of, like, literally a book I wrote on Puppet that also uses desired state config, right? So I was immediately drawn to that. Can't really use IMMY to do a lot of other asset classes, right? So it's very important, right? Like, it's easy, right? I would argue that patching Windows workstations and servers is a solved problem. Patching third-party software on Windows workstations and servers is a relatively solved problem. Patching that thing, and I am pointing at a Polycom IP phone.
We talked about
is not solved problem. Patching that thing, which is a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K, is a not solved problem. And while you may think that that's not a huge deal, that phone back there probably runs Linux. That printer that on the other room definitely runs some sort of flavor of Linux or VxWorks, right? And there are multiple instances where threat actors have persisted on printers. Right, like, I get into your network and you kick me out. Well, I've rooted your printer and now I have a reverse proxy shell onto that. So, like, you kicked me off your network, but I'm still in because I'm in your printer. And then I can continue to look for other places to exploit and other places to move laterally to. We can talk a whole lot about how printers shouldn't be able to talk to anything, but that's a different discussion. But right, like, those are classes of devices that people don't really think about keeping patching and up to date, right? We've seen tons of problems, I'm going to call them, recently with SonicWall or WatchGuard. Cisco ASAs, like there's literally a CISA executive directive right now where they actually have a tool where you can upload a memory dump from your ASA and it'll tell you if it's pwned or not. And these are all asset classes that I don't think patching them is a solved problem, right? I don't think that we've worked out as an industry the best and proper way to keep these things up to date, or even in many cases know that they exist to keep up to date.
Oh God, my fear is that Darren's in here and he's going to be like, guys, how do we solve this problem? I know he's in here.
Dude, Darren, solve the problem. Like it is like that is there isn't a solution right now, right? That's a relatively blue ocean problem. There's a bunch of people
I know.
successfully try to do it. Oh, he's here.
Yes, I knew he was here.
I'm listening. I heard every word you said. And yeah, I'm gonna put this one on Brett because that's what he wants to do. He's been dying to add. He may or may not be, but he's been dying to add like network device stuff. He just feels like every implementation we've seen is just like lacking, and he's extremely familiar.
Trash.
Yeah. I mean, he talks about this. You know, he's got opinions, and he knows how it needs to be done. You know, and so anyway.
NetCom and Yarn are not for your friends. They are not great, and they are the way you have to do it. Otherwise, you end up having to write 13 or 14 different implementations, one for each vendor, and that sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. But when you can do it better than the vendor themselves for many years on end, it's like, okay, well, maybe you're doing the Lord's work. You know, I don't know.
Well, yeah. So I mean, those vendors keep getting popped because they're running SSL VPN stacks that were written in the late 90s when security wasn't a thing. So
yeah, I know.
You probably got a long runway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Anyway, carry on.
So I think right now would be a good time to mention that Jason has given us a handout for everybody. So we're going to talk a little bit through this. I removed
this isn't my handout. We stole it from somebody. So
he stole it
don't
from
give
somebody,
me the credit.
and I stole it from him.
Matt stole it from somebody.
Yeah. You know? I think, is it on one of these slides, Anna, or we can put it up on the screen and we can kind of talk through it. So this is to help you guys, and we're going to send out the link to it to help you guys really prepare for some of this stuff. We all know what left and right of boom is. Our Ducks team didn't know what that was yesterday, so that was kind of fun. I got to be like, oh, this is left of boom and this is right of boom. Immy falls a lot on the left of boom, but do you want to talk a little bit about this sheet, how you guys use it, etc.?
So this is Sunil Yu's cyber defense matrix, right? So he has an entire book called the Cyber Defense Matrix. I have a copy of it somewhere, where he talks about this, and he basically, along the left are essentially your asset classes. You know, we just talked about knowing what you have. Well, they're all right there, right? Like the major classes of applications or class of assets are on the left. I think service providers might be a sixth one that we tend to add to that, right? But you have devices, applications, networks, which includes network devices, data, and users, right? So then NIST has 5 functions, right? Like, well, 6 now because you've got governance, but identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. So what we've done is we've taken that client's defense matrix and we've added in our copy of it, like this is what class of tool we believe solves each of those problems. We have another copy of this that we share internally in sales and with clients that has the actual products that we're using. And ImmyBot is in a couple of those boxes. Tara saw it the other day when I sent her the original copy of it. And this shows how you actually do this and what tools and stuff we're using to do that. And a couple of things worth note here, right? Generally, as you move right, shit gets more expensive. Right? Because your ability to automate and your ability to not throw expensive humans at it go away, right? Identify is easy. You're almost certainly going to be using some sort of tooling to do that, you know, and maybe you're small and you're using a spreadsheet to track assets. That's okay. I don't care. Like I use a spreadsheet to track assets too, in some cases. Right. But that's relatively easy and understood and not high risk, right? Because it's pretty static. It doesn't have to update a lot. Protect, right? Like we all run EDR, we all run MDR, you know, those are table stakes these days. That's how we're going to attempt to protect, you know, stop bad from happening. Then we have boom. Once you get right at boom, the first category is detect, right? So it's like, I'm trying to detect that something bad has happened. And somebody way smarter than me said, when you're the defender, everything sucks, right? Because you have to be right 100% of the time or the attackers are going to get in. But once they're in, it flips. once they're in, they have to be right 100% of the time, or they're going to get detected, right? And if you can detect them before they've done a lot of damage, then that's still a win, right? Like, so, but it's more expensive. The tools to detect are more expensive. The damage, you might have damage if you are detecting, you're probably going to have to respond and recover if you detect. Respond, right? Like once you have an incident, like we had one we declared yesterday, it turned out to be a nothing burger, right? But like once you have to respond and you have to treat every incident like it exists and then recover, right? Like recover is the most expensive thing, right? You're having a really bad day at this time and you're trying to figure out what are the pieces of this broken mesh you have in front of you that you can pick up and put back together to provide the client some sort of working business, right? And that tends to be the most expensive. So yeah, everyone can have this sheet. It's neat. Everyone should fill it out with the tools they use. And if they have gaps, they should figure out how they're going to fill them.
So a bunch of people are already in it. And we actually gave you, if you go to the second page in the sheet, we did kind of just like an example of how to fill it out. I don't know if you have that or I can share my screen, Anna.
It's on there. I see it.
Oh, okay, great. And then this is the third
Oh yeah,
page.
so that's the RACI chart. That's different. That's slightly different. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if you guys look at that sheet, the second page has an example filled out for you if you want to take a peek at what it would look like. And then the third page of it is this responsibility chart, which I've never actually heard of anyone doing. And I friggin' love this. This was probably my most exciting part of this.
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak to that. We do some amount of co-managed, and here's the problem with co-managed: is an MSP, it's a really easy sell, right? Like, oh yeah, no, you just take care of what you want to take care of. I'll take care of what I'm going to take care of, right? And everything is great and happy. That works fine until something's not. And then my experience happens that as soon as something's not, it turns into that stupid Spider-Man meme of everyone pointing at each other because everyone thinks it was the other person's responsibility and accountability to actually do that work. Right? Like shared accountability doesn't exist. One person is accountable for every single object here. So when we do co-managed agreements, one of the things we produce during the sales process is this document that shows who, then this is a RACI chart, right? So it shows who's responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed for every one of those functions. Right. And so like a third party vendor for the line of business, they, in the end, they may be responsible and they may be they're definitely responsible, right? We may or may not be accountable for dealing with them. And then internal IT is probably just consulted and or informed if there are changes to be made there, right? And so for every one of these functions, we fill out a column in every one of those things, and that makes it very clear contractually and to the stakeholders who is in the end responsible for it. Because if two people own it, no one owns it. Because they will always assume that the other body is the one doing it. And then when nothing gets done or there is a gap there, right? And like you don't want to be in the situation where something happens, right? Like the client's like, oh yeah, I'll take day to day on backups and you're just backstopping. And then they just assume you're there to backstop. You're not. Right? Backups fail. They have an issue where they need the backups. And they're like, well, I thought you were backstopping. And it's like, well, backstopping means to me that like you're responsible and accountable for, and if you need me, you're going to reach out. I'm not monitoring that if I'm
naive. What's backstopping? Sorry. Gonna have to ask.
In many cases with these like co-managed agreements, the client is responsible for something, but they can escalate things to me, right? So I'm providing backstop. I'm providing support for them if they're in over their head, right? But I'm not responsible for it and I'm not accountable for it. It's not in my bucket. In most cases, actually, that is hourly billed out of retainer. It's not like included in the service.
Yeah.
Right. But it happens. This is really a problem with security, right? It's like if they have domain admin and their normal user accounts have domain admin and I'm responsible for security, like what happens when their domain admin account gets the client compromised? Like who's accountable and who's responsible for that? Right. So if you want me accountable for security, then I have a set of rules that you have to play by my rules to hold me accountable there. Right. Like you don't get domain admin anymore. Maybe you get a second admin account that's provisioned for just in time usage when you need it. Or maybe we use some sort of PAM solution to prevent you from having to have it. Right. But all of this comes down to, in the end, clarity of communications with the customer as to whose roles and responsibilities things are, and contractual risk protection for both me and the client when something doesn't go right.
So I kind of love that you do this on the front end. Does this you do this during your sales process, right? Or is it?
Yeah, and it sucks. I'm not going to sugarcoat it because no one knows how to find out.
But does it turn people away from using you guys? Or
sometimes it probably does, right? Like but in the reality of it is that I would rather identify that up front than be 6 months in and have a contract dispute.
Yep.
Right. And that's this came to be because of that, right? Because of the fact that like I had too many incidents where a client, like I'm only providing my software stack, and they're like, well, this thing happened over here, and it's like, dude, I'm not like, I'm selling you licensing, man, essentially, and some like maybe patching and some high level monitoring of up down. I'm not doing anything else other than that. And after one too many times of having to argue with clients about it, I'm like, you know what, this is what we're doing, this is what you're doing, right? Like it, you know, you were informed and made very aware that this was your responsibility, and the fact that it wasn't done isn't my problem.
Yeah, I mean, on a lower level, like back in the day, I'll never forget, we mailbox money. We hosted people's mailbox exchange servers, etc. And if something happened with one of their workstations, they would call us for support. Well, that $15 a month I'm paying you for my inbox doesn't cover support. I'm like, no, what are you talking about?
Correct. I mean, we got
sure.
Yeah, well, and even then, it's like, you know, I'm not going to help you configure mail.app on like an Apple. Like there's lines of things. I don't know. That's business risk management, which is a thing that as a business owner, I'm responsible for.
Yeah, it is. And all of this kind of relates back to it in general, right? Like any part of this can put your whole business at risk. It's not just your tech department.
Yeah.
So I wanted to come back to this slide really quick because I know we kind of talked a little bit about having a plan to keep it up to date, especially how Immy can help to keep your software up to date. Do you have other pieces of advice around keeping it up to date? If not, I'm excited to talk about least privilege.
Yeah, I mean, make a plan, right? It doesn't have to be, again, anything earth-shattering. We, like, for network devices and stuff like that, right? Much to Tom's frustration sometimes, I tend to patch that stuff quarterly unless there's, like, a security thing that requires me to patch it, right? I think even yearly is fine for some of this stuff, right? If I have a switch that's supporting NFS or iSCSI to a virtualization host, I'm not patching that if I can avoid it. If I don't have to have a reason, it's going to run. Right, it might be up for a year if there's no security issues on it, right? It may, and there's not really a lot of risk there to doing that, and the upgrade process is very disruptive. This is a spot where we use spreadsheets a lot. We have it for our internal infrastructure, especially. Like I just have a SharePoint spreadsheet that lists each of those things with the patch frequency, and then we have ticket templates that basically just say, hey, it's time to do network device maintenance, and it lists all the things associated with the customer or our own stuff, and then they go update the spreadsheet to the version it's running. And the last time they did it is a check that they did it. It doesn't, I think us as technology nerds, we try to boil the ocean and we try to find these like super high tech solutions to a lot of these problems, man. Like I find that
there's your participation. Shut up.
Yeah. I often find that in many cases, I spend more time troubleshooting and maintaining those high-tech solutions than I do actually doing the work that they're trying to save, right? And there are exceptions to that rule, and you have a whole thing that you showed me the other day that talks about automation and the effort and stuff like that I talks to that a lot. But yeah, I would start simple, right? Like just make a plan, right? Like I'm going to patch phones once a quarter.
And I think the big thing is just start, right? Pick one thing and go, I'm going to start with this thing. Like you said, don't boil the ocean. If you try to take on way too many things at once, it's all going to fall to the side, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And everything, right? And upgrade. I mean, and also keep in mind that the technical term for upgrading is trading a known set of bugs for an unknown set of bugs.
I kind of love that.
You know what? I'm glad you said that because my policy has been if you aren't experiencing a problem that's explicitly addressed in the release notes of the firmware, you don't update the firmware.
Nope.
Especially on a storage switch. Like, you've got to be crazy.
Yeah, I mean any network devices in general, if it's like an edge-facing firewall, but like the honest reality, right? Like, you know, I got into a debate. We missed an update on one of our on a VMware host. We still have a handful that we're still migrating off, and we missed it. It happens. It would have gotten caught the next quarter, but Tom found it and he's losing his mind over it. And I'm like, Tom, like, yeah, I understand. However, it's not internet exposed. And if somebody is in the network to the point where they're like able to touch that, I have failed 7 other ways, right? Like I have, I have good in theory detections in place that detect that, right? And I like to use the analogy. I think when we were talking about this, I made this one initially. I watch a lot of a show called Mayday outside of the U.S. In the U.S., it's called Air Disasters, right? And I know it makes you terrified.
And he wants to set these clips of this stupid show, and it's all about airplane disasters. Guys, don't watch it.
But you know what? There's a lot of parallels here, right? Like if you're doing security with layers and you've got, you know, and you're following that client's defense matrix where you have all those buckets in place, planes don't fall out of the sky just randomly. Like multiple systems and human error has to happen for a modern airliner to crash. Right? It just does not happen. It like a pilot landed when they shouldn't have because the wind shear was too high, right? Like now that being fair, it has and does occasionally catastrophically happen. The DC-10 that crashed in Idaho, where you know the back engine cut all the hydraulics. Sometimes bad things happen, but there were redundancies, right? Like it just so happens that the fan blade went through all of them. But the reality of it is, in most cases, if you deep dive into most cyber incidents, there's a lot of play here, right? I've seen multiple instances recently. Oh yeah, you know, so and so has a ransomware event because their sonic wall was breached. Last time I checked, my sonic walls, which I don't run any because I think sonic wall sucks, but generally my sonic walls don't have right access to my domain controllers. So my network wasn't breached because my sonic wall got breached. My network was breached because my sonic wall was breached. I had no detection about lateral movement. Somebody's able to find a vulnerability on an internal host, go to it, pivot to domain admin, and then laterally spread. Like 5 things failed there, and everyone just wants to blame it on the sonic wall.
Oh, it's the easy scapegoat, right? Somebody does something wrong, it's not their problem.
Yeah.
So why would anybody have right access in your sonic wall? Is there any?
Oh, it doesn't. No, they don't. In the case of what's going on with sonic wall right now, technically I'll share that. 2 things. 1, they had a vulnerability a while back that was revealing config backups, and 2, they had another vulnerability in their cloud backup solution that apparently was giving away all the cloud backups. The thing with that is that the Sonic Wall config has the usernames, hash passwords, and the TOTP, the MFA secrets in it. So it has all the things you need. And if you have a Sonic Wall and you're on this call and you have not yet rotated your credentials, if you have any credentials on your device that are more than 1 month old, you probably should just drop off this call and go change them.
Suddenly we see a bunch of people drop.
Right, like
approve this message.
The thing there is that, right, like it, yeah, there's a lot of stuff there, but yeah, it doesn't have access to anything, right? Like that's just a way in. Sonic Wall was initial access, is what those of us in like incident response would say. That's how they got in. That's not how they compromised you. That's how they got in.
So I have a question.
Yep.
You are super updated on all of this, and this is a little off topic, and then you can talk, Anna, about your least privilege. You message me constantly about, oh, something got popped, oh, this, oh, that. Where do you find all your info for people super interested in cybersecurity? Like, what are you following? What are you doing to kind of be in the know? And don't say it's just because I'm a cool cybersecurity guy who everybody tells things to.
Well, so I would be remiss if I didn't say the ISO is a good spot to get that information, right? Like if you're a GTI member and you're not using the ISO, you can get threat emails with information on them. And additionally, right, there's, for better or worse, there's a handful of signal groups. I don't think you're in that one. There is a very noisy one that shares a lot of threat intel. And I mean, I know you said to not say it, but like I've gotten somehow to the point where people will just text me that so and so happens. But Reddit's a good spot, right? Like the cesspool that was Twitter is a great spot. That's where all the InfoSec people are hanging out. I think most of them moved to Blue Sky. I think Tom Lawrence has a list of people on his webpage on Lawrence.systems. I think he has a list of cybersecurity people. You can go to their lawrencesystems.com that he follows. I can't be bothered with Twitter, so most of my stuff comes from either the ISO or one of the other Signal groups I'm in. I mean, I'm, for better or worse, so like I'm in CISA Slack. Like I have ways to get that information that the general public doesn't.
Yeah. Generally, I just get it when somebody explodes a Signal chat and they're like, "Oh my God, everybody go do this thing!" All of a sudden, I'm like, "Okay, good."
Yeah.
And then I just forward it to everybody on our team. Cool. So next on our list was least privilege. Anna, what did you just wanted to
I'm just really excited that ImmyBot has role-based access control, because when we're talking about cyber risk, I'll let Jason talk about least privilege, but beyond just cyber risk, my least favorite thing is when people at the company have more access than they should, and they start messing up everybody else's stuff because they don't know what they're doing. So from both a keeping your sanity and from not having your company in a cyber attack, why does least privilege matter to you, Jason?
Yeah, so I would argue that this is even more important than patching in many cases, right? Like almost 100% of the environments we walk into, a very large number of users have full admin access, right? And full admin access means you can make changes. It means you probably have more privilege than you should to other systems like servers, right? And generally, it's a need to know thing, right? You should have access to the things you need to do your job, right? And we're taking it to the point where I'm starting to unwind my tech's ability to use some of these tools. Like it will likely be the case in the very near future that my tier 1 techs don't have access to IMMY because they don't have any reason for access to IMMY, right? Like the few things, or they don't have access to at least write things in there. Now that you have role-based access control, I can give them the ability to execute things that are already there, but not the ability to create new things. All of this is about containment, right? If I get access to the receptionist's PC, I have access to the receptionist's PC and potentially any other systems that she has access to file server wise, right? So if I have a ransomware attack against that receptionist, her computer is going to end up encrypted, and maybe an HR or some other file share that she has access to is going to be encrypted. Unless there's some sort of local privilege escalation, you're not going to see them be able to do things like Kerberos or any other advanced techniques to try to escalate to a domain admin to try to move laterally, right? So that incident ends up relatively contained. Like I can handle it. Molly got her computer compromised because she's dumb. I can handle that and I can recover that. But if she has domain admin or even local admin, suddenly they're running Kerberos, which is a very relatively difficult attack to protect against right now. And they're trying to find a service principal that they can pop, or they're trying to escalate to somebody mute Darren. They're trying to escalate to admin, and then once they escalate to admin, then they're trying to escalate to domain admin, and pretty soon that thing here that should have just been Molly's computer getting compromised and maybe a file share she has access to results in the entire network being encrypted. And all of that began because Molly had local admin access on her computer, right? So I will give a great example of this told by a guy named Dave Kennedy. Dave Kennedy is the founder of Trusted Sec. They're one of the top tier red team companies. He's the CTO of Binary Defense, which is one of the top tier blue team companies. And he gave a talk at both GurCon and where I'm going today, actually, in Wild West Hacking Fest, where he talked about one of the times they got caught. And this is like one of the best red team companies in the country. They're sitting on ODAs that we don't even know exist, and they'll use them to privilege escalate just because they can, and you hired them to. They spent weeks researching this big target, big, huge financial firm, and they got in, and everything's going great, and they're doing their stuff. They fished a low-level user in finance, and they're doing work on that finance PC, and they know their ODA they're going to have to run, and they're convinced they're winning. Suddenly they lose access to the system. 20 minutes later, they have a call from their contact. Hey, were you on this system? And they're like, how did you catch us? And the company said, we have two classes of users here, heavy users and normal users. And normal users don't run PowerShell. And you guys got into the system and you ran PowerShell and you were running commands in the PowerShell console. And that is not a thing our users do. And we have detections in place to detect that you don't have access to and you don't have any reason to be using PowerShell. And they detected them that way, right? And Dave was completely blown away. He's like, I never would have thought of that, right there. But right, like that is a thing of least privilege. Those users they don't have any reason, or they would never do that, right? So they don't have access. They essentially don't have access to run PowerShell, because if they do, they're going to flag a bunch of red flags in InfoSec. Right. So just don't give your users more access than they need. Like, don't run everyone as admin, especially don't, if you run a CSP and you have a Microsoft 365 environment, right? Like, the user you log in with to check email should not have admin access to anything, nothing. Right. They should have to log in with a separate account if they want to take action on any of yours or your customers' accounts.
Yeah. And I think this is another conversation you need to have when you bring on new clients, right? Because there could be other companies doing it so incorrectly. And then they're like, well, why am I locked out of everything? Why can't I do these things? And it's like, well, we'll handle it. But I don't know. It's a scary world. Being your friend really terrifies me sometimes, because I feel like I have too much info on cybersecurity at this point, and I just want to hide in a corner and cry sometimes.
Yeah, the hide in the corner and cry, I would say. So later this week, we get to hang out with a wonderful human named Chris Roberts. I think you met him at Beyond. He was wearing a dress and or a kilt, and he was on that panel with us. He is a well-known cybersecurity guy. There was a guy arrested in 2015, I believe, for being on a flight and basically hacking into the in-flight entertainment system. That was Chris Roberts. He gave a talk last year at GERCON where he said he's depressed because he dusted off his talks from 15 years ago, and 95% of them are still relevant. And that's what's scariest about InfoSec, is that, like, these aren't new. While there is new tradecraft, the things that actually notably result in compromise are the same problems we faced 15 years ago.
Hate that just a little bit, but I guess it's also not surprising, right? People are talking in here, and I don't
see
know
people.
What's being talked.
I'm trying to keep up.
Well, some of it's questions about IMMY, so we don't have to answer those, but Travis just put something in there: local admin password set for all computers and a GP. I'm just gonna let you read that and make a comment. A little more technical.
Yeah, there's too many acronyms in there.
I know.
So basically, yep, they're setting passwords for people in a group policy that anyone can read from the sysfile. That happens. Another one that I don't think most people realize is that, did you know that normal users can create DNS records in Active Directory domain? And so this is more of a problem if you have trusts, but if you have a trust to another domain, you can mask and man in the middle things from the other domain just from an unprivileged user just by creating DNS records. That's a fascinating topic and fascinating talk. Microsoft honestly is really bad at this, because for the name of convenience, which, I mean, the CIA triad, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, they're falling for availability here. They have some really shitty, terrible default security permissions on a lot of things, and a lot of it's legacy reasons, a lot of it's convenience reasons. But like an out-of-the-box Windows environment, a normal user has way more privilege than they probably should, and you have to take active effort to kind of tone that back a little bit.
So that's another takeaway. Go check all of your stuff in Microsoft, I suppose.
Yep. Yeah, and if you're, on the 365 side, right, you really have to be using a tool or use something like Terraform to baseline it, right? Like, I would plug SIP if I can. He's free and he does a great job. And even if you want him to host it for you, it's not expensive. And he does a good job of letting you basically apply baselines across all of your clients, because Microsoft's defaults are just terrible.
At some point, I would like to have Kelvin on here. I think Kelvin he's so good when it comes to some of the Microsoft stuff. But yeah, you can plug SIP all day long. We love SIP over here.
I'm just very upset that I don't think I'll get to hang out with him in Amsterdam because I think he's flying out as we arrive.
Lame. So does anybody have questions for Jason? We have him for a few more minutes, and he is happy to let anyone pick his brain. You can come off mute if you want, or if you just want to say hi. I don't know who all is in here. Got about 50 people still. So, or if you have questions for any of our devs or Darren, they are also on here. It would appear we've got a few of them in here. So,
when can I expect network device patching in IMMY?
Good question, Jason. Darren?
It's like I've already got it.
He said, gotta talk to Brett. Gotta talk to Brett.
I don't know about it. He's got a project he's working on. That's pretty cool, though.
What are some of the main threats from the past that are still relevant today, do you think? We got that one from James.
Credential misuse. Right? Like people using the same password everywhere. Yeah, I mean, and anything SSL VPN, those vulnerabilities have existed forever, right? The money is in finding them right now. You can make a name if you want to get into the security space. Just go fire up your local friendly LLM and point it at Ghidra and use it to reverse engineer some stuff and find a vulnerability, and suddenly you're a big name in security.
I don't understand why. Yeah, I don't understand why SSL VPN is now like being removed from all these different firewalls. It's like just fix the bugs. Like I don't understand. Like why do we have to go back to IPsec?
I mean, they're not going back to IPsec. You should be using like a SASE or like some sort of other like WireGuard tunnel based thing instead. I mean, the problem is the SSL VPN stuff. It's all 15-year-old code bases, right? It's like it was written when you didn't have authentication on your SMTP server and when universities had printers exposed to the internet with public IPs, right? It was a different threat model and threat landscape back then.
I just don't fundamentally understand how whatever WireGuard is doing is somehow more secure, and how that isn't going to be eventually vulnerable.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't disagree with you.
I haven't dug into any of the code. I don't know, but I've just whatever.
Yeah, reverse engineering some of that code. I'm gonna try to not dunk on any of the vendors in our space, but there are vendors in our space where it's like that is a glued together conglomeration of a bunch of different crappy technologies that were not great when they did them. I feel like SSL VPN is that in many cases. It's like some giant Java monster running a Jetty container from 1997 on the backside that's basically creating an SSL tunnel and then doing a bunch of like weird local route shit to move the traffic around, and it's just doing dumb things. And in many cases, I don't know, the vendors I think are trying to fix it, but it's the case that I don't know, C, I presume, Darren, like what percentage of C code 2 years after you write it can you still properly read?
Oh man, don't even get me started.
Yeah, or Java, right, or any of that. Like that code's Java 1.8. Like, yeah, I can modernize it, but I'm gonna have to completely rewrite it to modern paradigms.
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. I could see that. It's just frustrating. Yeah, it did. It did very much feel like when the SSL stuff was coming out, or at least definitely now that like all of them are kind of like all pulling the SSL support. It's like okay, like did we all just like take that same base SSL VPN open source project and glue it in, and that's why we're all having to pull it because we don't have time to re-implement it from scratch?
Yeah, it could be that, right? Like it's one of those things that if you're doing it again, you probably just wouldn't do it that way.
Yeah.
Right. Like SSL VPNs were essentially a solution to get around a problem of over aggressive outbound firewalling, right? Or NAT problems where it's like I just can't make an IPsec connection outside of that, right? Like, let's not pretend IPsec isn't. Yeah, let's not pretend it's without fault too. You still have aggressive mode versus passive mode bullshit you have to deal with on IPsec, right? Like remote access is just terrible. Firewalls that are running code base that started as VXOS are probably terrible.
Yeah. Yep.
The internet is a scary place.
Yep, it's all popsicle sticks and glue. All right. Let's talk about
Probably
PowerShell.
a little bit of gum too.
Yeah.
Well, we are actually out of time and we're going to respect Jason's time. So thank you, my friend, for being on here. We appreciate you. Maybe in the future, I'll be tapping Mr. Lee as well. So let everybody know how they can get a hold of you if they don't know you already. And if
can you drop
coming up or anything?
Yeah. Can you drop the CyberRise 911 number?
Yes.
Website, not number. Do not call 911. Actually, no, you can't call 911. It is a big problem if cyber risk is a real threat, but you can't call 911 over that.
No, you can call the FBI and they can tell you they can't help.
Yeah.
Aw, sweet.
Yeah. But I will say, if you guys, if people on this call don't know, I'll give you one little tidbit before I have to sneak out of here. If you have a company that is a victim to wire fraud, and you can catch it within 24 hours in the U.S. and 72 hours internationally, you can get a hold of IC3, and there is an 85% chance that they can recover those funds if it's been less than a day domestically and less than 3 days internationally. But you have to act quickly. But it is reversible. You can get the money back. You just have to do it quickly.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jason. We'll let you jump off here.
Peace. See you.
Bye.
If anybody has any tickets that need looked at by the support team, we will stay on. Otherwise, thank you all for joining us today, and I hope that you have a great Cyber Security Awareness Month.